Welcome to my channel. I am GDP, and today we have a video reviewing Asmodel The Dauntless in PvP and the endgame. And to start off, I would like to show you guys a little of the Asmodel cheese that has been going around, featuring both June and Barry. I hope you guys liked that little clip there. It is a little something that you can do with Asmodel. If he is your first Void hero, I personally don't recommend picking him as your first hero. I'll talk a little bit later about that. But let's go ahead and talk about the skills here. The active here, he does do, this is talking about V4 here, he does do 1,000% attack damage, reducing the enemy's back line 80% speed, so he hits them for 1,000% attack, reduces their speed for 80%, and then he does an additional attack for 80%, and for each stack of revenge, he then does additional hits up to 3 times. This does really good job of removing unbending will stacks on an entire team. It's pretty good, pretty much just for that fact. So this active is very potent, and it does deal a lot of damage with a bunch of all damage stacks it can get in his second passive. In his first passive here, he does do 750% attack to the frontline enemies, dealing extra max HP, 15%. And then he does gain control immunity for 20% for 3 rounds, and that will build up a little bit with each basic attack. So he does get a decent amount of control immunity. And then his second passive here is whenever an ally is killed, he does gain HP 2 times by 15%, and he does get an all damage dealt 15% bonus, and inflicts 2 stacks of revenge. So this passive is the reason why the Asmodel cheese kind of works. The carries are dying, healing him up for 15% of his maximum HP, and with a solid build, he does naturally just have a bunch of HP, so this is a pretty solid heal. And then he increases that his all damage dealt by 15%, and this does stack on top of him, so this can pretty much keep going until he is doing a bunch of damage and able to one-shot heroes. And that is partially why the Asmodel cheese does work. It's not the best, but it can work in some lower stellar shard against some lower stellar shard teams, so keep that in mind. The last passive here is basically the shield here. Basically targets the lowest HP hero, gives them a shield that gives them a 35% all damage reduction. It's pretty good, and every time that hero is attacked, that attacker will get a stack of revenge, and Asmodel will get 15% precision. This last passive is really good for protecting, say, your A and B hero, so it'll give them some extra protection against those hits from SFX or the more stronger heroes, so that A and B hero can live a little bit longer. That's pretty much the biggest benefit from this last passive, so that also is a big reason why in endgame PvP he does a really good job, because he does help out with those A and B heroes. Now let's go ahead and talk about the builds here. My standard build that I've been using a lot is just a full warrior with a splendid crown with a speed attack, making him a little speedy. I am going with speed enables, lethal fight back, purify, unbending will. This makes him at roughly 24 million HP. If you do run this build, you got to keep in mind that he's going to be very, very prone to a lock swap because his HP isn't going to be high enough to absorb the lock swap. So you are going to need a higher HP hero. In my instance, I am using Ignis. The other option for you to go is a more speed HP build with a 2-2 split and the Splendid Crown. This does do a lot less damage, but you can do this to absorb those lock swaps. So the Asmodel isn't as prone to lock swaps as he is in the other build. Say if you don't have a higher HP hero to kind of protect him from that lock swap, so you can go ahead and use your Asmodel as your lock swap protection for your entire team, and basically feeding this shield onto your A&B hero. So you're kind of covering your high HP with your Asmodel, and your low HP is getting covered by your A and B hero and getting extra protection from Asmodel. So it's kind of a double whammy combo of that protection for your team. And also, he does bring that ability through his active ability with those multiple hits, triggering Unbending Will on the entire team. So the next time that hero is struck, they are killed rather than triggering Unbending Will. So that is a very good way of helping your team kill the enemy team, and that is why you're seeing a lot of Asmodels in the end game, is because he is allowing those void heroes to get killed much sooner. He is triggering that SFX dodge. Keep in mind, when SFX gets hit by this active, she does dodge it if she has her dodge up, and also dodges the extra hits as well. But it will trigger the dodge. It's a very, very consistent way to trigger that dodge, so the next time the next round comes up, your SFX can kill that other SFX or that your queen. But basically, it's going to be a very consistent way of clearing dodge off of the enemy SFX. So Asmodel does do his job in the PvP meta really well. He does fit really well. However, I don't think he's going to be that hero that's going to be, if you have one or no voids already, going to be that void hero, be like, oh yes, I want him right now. SFX overall is the best PvP void in the game. Queen kind of gives a all-around balance and can also give your team that all damage bonus through her active. And also those counterattacks are very potent, and you can build a team around Queen and those counterattack synergies. Asmodel, he struggles against SFX in 1v1 situations. There have been plenty of times where the last couple rounds of the fights are just SFX and Asmodel just going at it 1v1, and Asmodel just can't keep up with SFX in that 1v1 setting because he has no way to get past her dodge. But if you do have a 2v1 setup with, say, an Ignis, an Asmodel, or say an SFX and your Asmodel versus the other SFX, you're going to have a very solid and reliable way to kill that SFX. Some other points here is I have tried A and B onto Asmodel. He does get a little bit squishy. It does allow him to get that speed debuff out really quickly, but I don't necessarily think the speed debuff is why you really, 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 really want to bring Asmodel. It's just kind of like that icing on the cake. It is nice. You can, even with a V4 and the Splendid Crown build, you can hit the SFX and slow her down so she is slower than your Asmodel in the next round. So if you're feeding energy into the Asmodel, you can hit the Asmodel with an active in the next round. So that is possible. So you don't necessarily need the speed build. But when you do go the A and B, the counterattacks from the enemy team do melt him really quickly, and he just becomes kind of squishy. Talking about the imprints just a little bit, for the PvP situation, I do go with the damage reduction, control immunity, and holy damage. I have tested crit, I've tested armor, I've tested all of them. I just overall like the holy damage more. It gives them a little bit more extra damage to punch through those AMBs. And also, since I am going with a more damage build with the speed attack and the full warrior, the holy damage does help out. So that's pretty much all I have to talk about Asmodel. He does fit the meta really well. He's a top tier hero. He's not the best Void. I would actually probably put him as the third best Void. But when you do have the other two and you bring them into your team, he does make your team very potent and he works really well with your team. So he is going to be pushing the meta into more sustained meta coming up into the future. I do believe a Priest and a Jara is going to synergize really well with Asmodel, so that's going to be nice. He does like to be healed by Ignis. Ignis is a fantastic support for him. I have been running her with another Splendid Crown, keeping him up nice and healthy. So in the clips that I show you, that is what I'm using is a Splendid Crown on my Ignis. I am using a Splendid AMB on my Queen. This SFX right here. This Sherlock in the clips is using a Rui Scepter and is a speed attack build, 3+ speed. And then my low HP Sherlock is a 1/3 with a speed attack and is also V2 with some attack and HP attack nodes here, and some other things. I think that's pretty much it. My carries are V1 with speed artifacts that you see in TOC, and then my Tix here is running an energy artifact with speed attack and is V4. So those are pretty much the heroes that I am using in these clips that you're going to be watching. I do see the meta possibly going into more sustained later on with future Voids, and I hope you guys enjoy these clips, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you.